All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 496 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. And before I get into the show, I want to talk a little bit about Georgia Southern. I'm not going to do too much because I want to make a whole show about it. But Georgia Southern has landed some nice recruits within the last couple of days. I really want to make a full episode about it. But shout out to those guys. Syracuse, former Syracuse wide receiver, is come down to play for Georgia Southern, and a couple of nice looking linemen, and I think we got a linebacker as well. So we're looking really good on that end. So I'm going to make a full episode about that, but that's really nice. But today we're going to talk more of Atlanta Falcons. We're going to talk about Arthur Smith offense, and I want to give some insight on about that because there's some things that you see and don't see. And it's kind of, really interesting to see how he runs his offense because some things are head scratchers, but not in a bad way. So my son will be in the background, so you'll probably hear him. You know what it is. I mean, that's just how it is. He's here. He has become quite the gamer right now. He's playing the Xbox right now, so you'll probably hear him in the background. If this is your first time here, welcome. I am on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, so you can listen to the show at your leisure. We'll definitely appreciate that if you would subscribe to more than one avenue, because sometimes one avenue will be down. It has happened in the past, and it's weird how technology works. Also, I could be I can be found on Twitter. I'm sorry, where you can find out things that don't really make to on the show. I'll talk about stuff over there on Twitter. Last but not least, check out BetUS. Put down $100 in the link below. Get 125% bet book bonus. It helps out the show, and it will help you as well because you double your money off the rip, and you could bet and put wagers on certain games. So that'll be pretty awesome. So Georgia Southern, BetUS, all the YouTube, Rumble, and the podcast platforms. Go ahead and check it out, and I will definitely appreciate it. BetUS, once again, click that link. You can bet on anything that's available there, all sports related, and some stuff that's not sports related. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and get into this. Episode 496, Coach Arthur Smith. Let's talk about his offense. We're going to look at 2021 and 2022 and the personnel that he has on offense, because sometimes some of the offense could be a head scratcher. Some of the things could be, but the stuff that he does for the most part has worked. There's one denominator to all of this. We need the quarterback in place. Is Desmond Ridder that guy? There's only one game that we've seen so far, but time will definitely tell. When you look at when Matt Ryan was here and you see what was going on that end, looked like it was a pretty good outing for the most part when you look at what they've done. The team stats as a whole, Matt Ryan threw for 37-13. He had 20 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Also, they ran the ball for 1451, which is actually pretty interesting with the passing game the way it is from back then until now. You have a different type of passer, what we have now, and in 2022, we only passed for 21-13, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, which is, 5 off the interception ratio. But we ran the ball for 2,297 yards. So we've turned from a pass-first team to a run-first team in a span of a year. Yes, I understand personnel matters when you have a Matt Ryan compared to Marcus Mariota, but when you look at Coach Arthur Smith and the offense that he runs, this is why things is kind of a head scratcher. Because when you look at the offense, it's like, does his philosophy actually change? I don't think it changed for the most part. I just feel that he just plays to the strength of his offense. And he's actually done a pretty good job with the personnel he has. So, long story short, and I'm going to get into this, I feel like Arthur Smith does well with running an offense. It's just that the personnel is not there, and you can make the case that the receivers and the quarterback is not there this year, but everything that he's done, it has worked. Even when you have a Matt Ryan that could throw for almost 4,000 yards, and you turn right back around and you have a running game that's almost all intents and purposes with the next 3 games that we have, we can run for 3,000 yards in a season. Now would be actually pretty impressive. averaging 5 yards a carry this year compared to last year. We only had 3.7. And you also have to understand, Cordell Patterson was a pretty good runner for us last year. He did pretty well. Mike Davis not so much, but when you turn around and get a Caleb Huntley and a Tyler Algier along with Cordell Patterson, it seems like this offense is catered to run to its strengths. Does this mean that Coach Arthur Smith closed off his offensive playbook? I don't think he necessarily closed it off, because you still see, even though we've thrown the ball almost half of what we've done last year, it's still almost at the point where it's still the same yards per catch. I want to see the percentage. I don't think the percentage is not the same. I think it's a little bit lower, but you still have the same type of production overall, run the pass or whatever the case may be. You still getting that full, aspect of an offense. I mean, right now we are on pace to get about the same amount of yards that we did last year, which was 51-64. Right now we're at 44-10. If we keep going to where we're going, we're probably going to get the same amount of yards. It's just going to get it a different way. As of right now, we've run 815 plays compared to last year. We were already up at the end of the season. We was at 1,006. So the offense is pretty much on par to do exactly what is done numbers wise. So when you look at Arthur Smith offense, I don't think it's necessarily a bad offense. It's just that he wants to do something to where his offense could play off both strengths. So if you have a pretty good thing with the passing game, it will balance along with the run game. And I think once he gets that, this is where you're probably going to see a team that does exponentially well. Because even at 5-9 right now, they're still in the hunt to surpass what they've won, their win total last year. And when you're doing that with the personnel that you have, not having all the cap space that you have, still eating dead cap money, I find that highly, highly impressive. And I'm not even going to get into the defense, because I think that's a different story for another day, obviously. But when you look at the offense, I'm looking at what Arthur Smith has done. I think a lot of people give him a lot of flack, and I get it. But I think his coaching, what he does coaching wise, and what he's able to do with the personnel he has, he's doing a pretty good job. So I'm not against that at all. So I'm here to the point where I want to see what he does. And it's very hard to say he's going to be on the hot seat, because I know there's some people out there saying he's on the hot seat. But I want to see what he does next year. And let's be honest, is he really on the hot seat compared to what he's working with and what's, just basically what he's working with? You have a Mariota who's done what he done last year. You had a Matt Ryan who, you got to also think, you didn't have Calvin Ridley last year and still was able to throw for 3,700 yards. So now when you flip that, and now without the personnel, you have the receivers, but most of this year you did not have the quarterback. Marcus Mariota, don't get me wrong, I think he did the best he could, but I really feel like he was one of the reasons why we weren't able to do much. I thought he was going to be the type of quarterback that could give us a more of a balanced attack that has more familiarity with this offense. I think he has more familiarity with the offense than Matt Ryan did, and I thought it was going to be a pretty decent fit to the point where he could not necessarily put up the numbers Matt Ryan did, but somewhere in between where it was going to be more I thought it was going to be, like, as of right now, I thought he would have been at least around 3,000 yards. I guess you could say around what Matt Ryan did. I don't know. Because Matt Ryan, as a passer is much better than Mariota. But I thought in this offense, you have Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is injured now. But I just thought it just was going to be, I wouldn't even say put the numbers up to Matt Ryan, because I'm a little all over the place with this. I just thought it would have been more efficient to where it would have made more sense to be more productive in the wins that we could have had. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Because, like I said, it's a head scratcher, but it's not a bad head scratcher, because, like, you draft Pitts, you draft London, but you can't get the passing game going. You got Tyler Algier, you got Caleb Huntley and Cordell Patterson, and you're running the ball like crazy. Last year you didn't have the receivers, but you had the quarterback. So you kind of understand where, I mean, like the way this offense is going and what Coach Smith is trying to do. I find it very, very impressive for him to do what he's doing, even though we know what the issue is. This is why I've always been looking at the quarterback issue. You get better quarterback play. We have, I believe we have better quarterback play. I feel that we will have at least 9 to 10 wins right now. And I'm not joking when I say that. Not saying it as a biased Falcons fan. I'm really looking at it what I see on the field, because a lot of these games were won and lost by the fact that the quarterback play just was subpar. Now, I will say with Desmond Ridder in his debut, I said this on the last episode, I don't think Desmond Ridder put us in the spot like Marcus Mariota has. That's my son again. Like Marcus Mariota has. Marcus Mariota put us in a spot to lose games for the most part. I think Desmond Ridder did the right thing for the most part. He had some mistakes that was kind of off and kind of weird, but I feel like, especially in the fourth quarter, I think he did a very good job of putting that ball right where it needed to be for Drake London, and we all know what happened from there. So at the end of the day, I don't want to get into that side of the game, but when you look at what Coach Arthur Smith has and what he's been working with, I really think that he's done a pretty good job. I really do. I think he's done a good job with the offense. Wins and losses is another thing, because he went 7-10 last year with no receivers. Right now he's 5-9 with no quarterback. And that's not a diss on Desmond Ridder. I'm just talking about the play of Marcus Mariota made it seem like we didn't have a solid quarterback. It is what it is. So I can't wait to see how this plays out next year. I think he has one more year to prove himself, because he's below 500, and that's unacceptable at the end of the day. But we see what he's trying to do. And this is why I think he should get another year, because even with what's going on here, he's overachieving, especially when 7-10 was actually pretty impressive with no receivers and a subpar defense. Now you have a okay defense. You don't have the quarterback, but you have the receivers, and the offensive line is still shaky. And let's not even mention about the offensive line of last year. My God. So I feel like one more year, his offense is doing what it does in the best case scenario, because we were supposed to win 2 games this year, probably one, that most critics and experts say. We're up to 5, and we still have a potential to win at least 7 or 8. So this is going to be really interesting. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think, man. Like, seriously. Am I tripping? I think the offense is looking pretty good. All the links to the references that I talked about will be down in the description. 2021 and 2022, when you look at the team stats and rankings, I think Arthur Smith has done more with less. And once he gets what he wants to get, it'll be great. In my opinion, $100 million under the salary cap. Now that'll be the time. There'll be no excuses at that point. But even then, I think he's really overachieved at what's going on here. Let me know what you guys think. YouTube, Rumble, Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, BetUS. Click that link down in the description. Get your 125% bet book bonus. Also, you can find me on Twitter if you want to talk about things that I don't necessarily talk about on the show. I'm going to get up out of here. My son's over here playing this game. He is quite the gamer, I will say. I think that might be a problem for a 3-year-old. I'm getting kind of worried. But we'll talk about that at another time. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed.
Bye.
Peace.